Well, I had my vacation from working on this circuit. I feel a lot of pressure that I have to deliver. When I simulate, nobody knows the wiser until I get a success story and then I share it because it's not hard to produce. I spent a few months when I first started simulation work by trial and error, and within a matter of a few months, I managed to start having success. So I didn't have any insecurity about sharing because it only took, sorry for the noise, somebody's working here. Anyway, so I have a lot of insecurity building something that it's harder. It's more of a challenge to deliver a success story. So far, I have not um, really achieved what I want to achieve. So anyway, so I took a vacation and now I'm back at it and I'm noticing the copper tape is coming unglued in various places. Like this ball that I'm wrapping with insulated iron wire, the tape that I'm using to hold it in place is coming undone. Because I didn't go all the way around the ball to tape to itself, to tape to the tape. I'm merely taping to a different object, and that seems to be where the problem is. Taping to a different object other than the tape itself, it doesn't want to stay glued. It wants to peel off at the ends. So I got rid of the diodes because I don't need them. I'm going to make water-based diodes, and so I don't really need them. So the only conventional off-the-shelf part that I'm going to use for this version is the neon bulb and a resistor in line with the neon bulb not to protect the neon bulb so much as to raise the resistance on one side of it to help increase voltage difference between the two uh, leads, the two electrodes of the neon bulb, to help light it up. Um, and basically, because I'm not trying to create current in this power station, I'm just trying to create voltage, because that's what I believe all is that needs to be done. The current can be developed by shorting out the load with the receiving coil. Um, One vessel I already have kind of ready. I had put some aluminum foil tape to serve as the two electrodes. So this is going to be the capacitor, or we could call it the, let's see, the NPN. No. Well, it's a different version of transistor. This one's going to have copper lead on the outside, copper lead on the outside, and then aluminum tape lead going from the inside of this one to the inside of that one to join them together. And then I'm going to have two carbon electrodes going down the center and then coming together to connect to the iron loop. While here I'm only going to have one go to a single connection to the wire loop. But then I'm going to have, because this is aluminum and I can't join aluminum to copper directly, so I have to connect carbon to the outside of here, this aluminum lead, and to the outside of this aluminum lead, and then that carbon will go to the copper tape. So I always have carbon as my junction between two different metals to prevent a galvanic response between them. um, so I won't need a capacitor because I already kind of have it here, because the two plates are of the same metallic consistency. So that's my capacitor, while it's, so to speak, a modified capacitor since it has the carbon lead down the middle, shorting out to here. And this will be my PNP transistor. Because it has the aluminum in the middle, that makes it the PNP. It also has carbon in between the middle and the two outer copper sides, so that carbon also makes it a PNP. So it's a PNP any way you look at it. And then I have the neon bulb, And that's it. So actually, I have more space now here to space things out. As I recall, that's, oh, and then I have to put the two copper spheres. I knew there was something missing over here. I'm going to try it without them. I'm not sure they're doing anything, whatever. But I am modifying them, so that should be good. Okay, so before this thing comes totally undone and all the copper tape peels away, I should do my next version. Why not? I did not mention I failed to recognize that there's a potential additional possibility for a galvanic response that I hadn't figured on, and that's going through the liquid between the copper here and the aluminum tape here and the aluminum tape here and the copper tape there. So, that's why borax diodes are made with an alkali, not with a salt. Now, detergent is fairly neutral, which is what salt is, so that may give a galvanic response. So it might be a good idea, when I fill these vessels, to fill them with a combination of both detergent and a cast tile soap. Bronner's, in this case, orange flavored. Well, it's actually, I haven't mixed up with rose, but whatever, because that contains potassium hydroxide. And so I'll be diluting that down by adding detergent. Well, detergent has a stronger action of wetting the water, of reducing water viscosity, water tension. So that also helps conductivity. So I'll have my carbon medium, mainly the detergent and the emulsified of the detergent and the emulsified oils of the soap. So I should really combine them. I shouldn't even consider it as an option, because I want to prevent galvanic response. So galvanic response implies the generation of current, and I'm not here to do that, because I'm going to eat up the electrodes when I do that, and that's where you'll get power here. But I don't want power here. I want potential generated exclusively, for the most part. Not exclusively, but for the most part, here. And that makes it last longer, and that's all I have to do. I don't have to provide current. All I have to provide is voltage. The conversion of voltage into current is easy by keeping this electrically isolated from the load and merely magnetically coupling this to the load, and then shorting out the load with itself through its receiving coil. That'll generate all the current the load needs. A little excessive voltage, but it'll have current. So I don't need to provide power. I don't need to provide current that will result in power, presuming that I already have voltage or potential. Since current is merely the movement of potential from one place to another, all I really need is potential. I don't need anything else, but I need lots of potential. And in the story describing Sierra Lamont, when the remodeling person came and he gave to remodel his home, I guess he was wallpapering the walls, and he was asking about, oh, how come you're disconnected from the grid? I noticed in your mains box, your fuse box. And so he gave him a tour and a description and a demonstration. And when he connected the iron coil that was laying on the table adjacent to iron rebar, he connected the two ends of that coil to a door buzzer. It rang with a certain ferociousness because it had too much voltage. So this shows that his system is a voltage-oriented system, and he had an excess of it, and all he had to do was short it out through a receiving coil. But the receiving coil had to be iron, and it had to be magnetically coupled to an additional mass of iron, magnetizable iron mass, and a magnetizable iron coil, receiving coil, and then it worked because it put the phases back together again. It served as a floating ground. It serves a lot of purposes. It's a very iron is a very magnetizable iron is a very unique material object. But now I have aluminum figured in here and here. I've got copper, I've got iron, so this could be Tesla's trimetal generator, whose patent we don't get to see because it's classified sometime during World War II or shortly after World War II. It was removed from public display, so we have no record of it ever having been there. All we have is the Ammann brothers doing something. We can't appreciate where they got their inspiration from, but if I want to assume that they were inspired by one of Tesla's patents, then I have to also assume by logical, rational deduction that that patent has been since classified and we no longer get to see it. That's what I suspect is the case. They have all kinds of patents there that make you think and wonder, but nothing really juicy and meaty that would really give anything away. You know, for defense. Ever since World War II, we've been paranoid about defense. We didn't care before that. I mean, it took Pearl Harbor to get us to become paranoid, and we haven't stopped being paranoid. That's really what fuels our economy in the direction of debt, because our paranoia exceeds our productivity. And so we're in debt to foreign countries, banking on their goodwill that can only go so far before our economy collapses when they pull the plug. Because we're literally living off of the credit of foreign countries, China, mostly India. So Nostradamus was right when he predicted that China would invade the United States. They already have. Nixon gave us away to China when he opened up the roads of commerce. He was opening up the roads of commerce with the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So we already have ourselves sold out to a foreign country, selling our bonds there with the help of Ed Edelman, bonding the child confiscation process of Los Angeles County. Big time. Big money involved in the bond market. Humongous. Private bonds, you don't get to see them because they're government issue. They're not public bonds. Well, they're nondescript public bonds, which for all intents and purposes makes them private because they don't have a description of what they're about, just serial numbers listed in some book somewhere. But publicly, I'm sure it's published, but no one's going to tell anybody where it is. So it's following the rules, but you won't be able to verify its existence and the contents of that accountability. Whatever. I'm getting it all mixed up in here. I shouldn't even be talking this shit. I should stick with free energy. Oh well.